What do y'all think?
That's good.
All right, so it is week 3 of Director Bound. So do you guys notice something on the screen? Do you guys notice anything?
There's less people.
There are fewer of you.
There's less people, right? Which means, hold on, you guys ready for it? Give yourselves a pat on the back, right? Pat on the back if you are still with us, because that means you guys are committed to your business. Committed, that big C word, right? It's a big, huge C word. To be and stay committed to your business. It speaks volumes about you guys, you know, and about your dedication to not only your future, but also your commitment in real life. I mean, it's just, you know, some of us, it's one thing to say we want to do something, but to actually do the work behind it is a whole nother story. Would you guys agree? Okay, so we want to start off. Let me share my screen real quick, because we have exciting news to share with you guys. Who wants to know who won? Does anybody want to know who won the Booking Blitz?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, of course we want to know, right? So, drum roll. Congratulations to Team Pampered.
Woo-hoo!
You guys had 53 total points for our Booking Blitz, for the Team Booking Blitz. So you guys can be expecting some happiness from your director. So kudos to all of you guys. But even more than that, me and Megan were really blown away at the results as a whole that we've gotten from you guys with both Booking Blitzes. So check this number out, you guys. From 2 Booking Blitzes, we have added 79 bookings to your 2019 calendars.
That is freaking amazing. That is awesome.
Amazing.
2 good. I mean, from 2 Booking Blitzes. That just, it blows my mind. That right there says a lot. And what it says is that you guys are willing to put the work in, right? Everybody's willing to put the work in. When push comes to shove, you know what you need to do. You just have to be willing to do it, right? So, you know, those little carrots the home office likes to dangle in front of us. They're like, hey, do this and you'll get this. Well, you guys just did it through the Booking Blitz just because you were really looking to step your businesses up. So I have a question for you guys. How many of you guys liked working this hard? Raise your hand if you liked working this hard. Oh, some of you did. My hand would totally be down at this point. I'm just an honest creature. So
to be totally honest, I've done a lot, and now I'm tired.
Yeah, exactly, right? How many of you want to work at this level, meaning attempting to get bookings all the time at this level, at this pace? Does anybody want to keep spiraling like this? Does anybody want to keep, working really, really hard?
It need to be easy.
All right. So how do we make it easy for ourselves? We make it easy by getting bookings at our shows, right?
And the parties.
Yes. It's so much easier. So when you have a healthy business, you no longer have to really, pick up the phone or send all those messages because you're naturally getting bookings, which is exactly what me and Megan are really, really excited to share with you guys tonight. We're going to break this up into 2 different pieces. So I want to introduce Megan because you guys have seen me before. You've heard my big mouth already with week 1. So I want to introduce Miss Megan to you guys. Megan is going to be leading the first part of our training this evening. And she is a virtual rock star in her business. And so we're going to lead off with some virtual booking tips for you guys. So take it away, Miss Megan.
All right. Okay. So I know that in the first call, all of the leaders introduced themselves, but just to, reiterate a little bit, I've been with Pampered Chef for about 3 years. When I initially signed up, I was not intending to do online parties, but I was also kind of stuck because cooking shows intimidated the crap out of me. So basically, I was in a position where I either needed to figure out online parties or I was dead in the water. So I kind of just started and I jumped in and figured out what worked for me and what didn't. And basically, it all boils down to showing your passion, connecting with your guests, and really the number of posts can change, what products you highlight, the length of your party, those things all are fluid. But the thing that stays the same is interacting with your guests, connecting with them, getting to know their needs, and then you're going to be just fine. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight with Becky. All right. So Becky already talked about how hard you've been working. So ideally, you can shift that back a gear or two and start to see the fruits of your labor in your parties, okay? So we wanted to show you, and some of you may be familiar with this graphic, but we really wanted to show how important it is that whatever you're doing right now is going to really make a difference 90 days down the road, and even 6 months down the road, and even a year from now, right? So the work that you're putting in right now is definitely going to pay off. So let's take a look at this. We wanted to show you the importance of booking 2 shows from every single party. So let's look at the left-hand column first. Everybody can see this, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So say you only book 1 show per party. You say, you know what, I'm not really going to push too hard to get that second booking. 1 is really good for me, okay? So while you might be celebrating that at first, so you've got month 1, you've got 6 shows dated, 2 cancel. That means you have 4 shows left. Okay, 4 shows held times 1 booking means you have 4 new shows from the 4 that you submitted. Let's look at month 2. So you have 4 shows dated, 2 cancel. You're down to how many shows to submit? Just 2. So your 2 shows held plus 1 booking from each one means you have 2 new shows only going into month 3. Say your 2 shows cancel, wah wah, what happens?
Goose
Yes.
egg.
You are looking at having your own little blitz party, because otherwise, guess what happens to your business? You're done. Now let's look at what happens when you really push for those second bookings out of your parties, okay? So the right-hand column. So month 1, you have 6 shows dated, 2 cancel, you hold 4 shows. Going into the second month, because you've gotten those 2 bookings from each one, right? You've got 8 shows booked, 2 cancel, you still have 6. Out of those 6 shows, you book 2 out of each one. You've got 12 shows heading into month 3. 12 shows dated, 2 cancel, you've got 10 shows left. This is still looking really good, right? So 10 shows, 2 bookings from each one, 20 new shows heading into month 4. Compare month 4 in the right-hand column to month 4 in the left-hand column. Huge difference, right?
Mhm.
How hard, tell me honestly now, how hard did each of you have to work to add just 1 more booking? Once you got in the groove, was it pretty easy to add 1 more booking?
Yeah.
So don't settle for 1. All right. Hopefully that stuck with you, because that's going to be important as you're holding these January parties. All right. Becky, were you doing this one, or did you want me to take this one?
No, you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead with your virtual training.
Okay. So for the virtual side of determination versus desperation language, and if that's something that you've heard before too, then we're just going to kind of do a refresher on that, okay? So let's have a few examples of what you were initially saying when you were going to get bookings before Becky, the word queen, gave you some ideas of what to say. Maybe some of those wordings that weren't quite so successful. Hey, if you're not too busy, if you have nothing going on in February, if you have the whole month open, would you maybe like to host an online party with me? Right? I mean, okay, that's an exaggeration, but when you go in and you're very confident with your wording, it makes all the difference in the world, right? When you're positive, you get positive results. Just like that image that I posted earlier today, be the energy that you want to attract, right? So when you are upbeat and you're positive and you're putting out your positivity into the world and into your booking wording, what do you think the chances are that you're going to get a yes in response?
Pretty good.
All right, so I'm going to pick on a few people. I don't have the full Brady Bunch screen, but I'm going
Here,
to.
I can remedy that real quick. Here's a story of a lovely lady.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to pick on Robin. You popped up, your smiling face, I see you. So let's have an example of maybe some booking wording that would be confident as opposed to unsure of yourself. Determined language.
Actually, I sent one tonight to one of the IAs at school who has been really good about supporting other teachers who have had one. And I thanked her, first of all, for being so supportive of those. And then I said, you know what? I want to help you get some free and discounted products. And I just said, I'm going to send you the February hostess reward and the March hostess reward. Let's make this happen. And so she's responded that she's thinking about it. She's kind of a shy woman, but I was offering her the virtual party.
Okay.
Because she's on Facebook. And so I think she's going to do it. But I want to help her because she is so sweet. And she does help all of her friends who have these parties. And I don't know if you know anything about IAs. They don't make very much money. I'm a teacher. I don't make that much money. And they make less money than we do. So I really want to help her. And that's what I sent today. So,
you know what I really liked what you started with, Robin? I really liked that you led with gratitude, because anytime that you can thank somebody for something that they've done already, that immediately makes them more responsive to what you have to say next. So that was awesome. Good job. How about Jackie and is it Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. How about the two of you? How about some determination language?
You go.
Well.
Nothing like the spotlight.
Yeah, put me on whatever Becky posts for us to say.
The wording was, what would you say without Becky's thing?
I don't know. Like tell them that, you would like to help them out with their, getting their kitchen, replacing some of their worn out like pots and pans or some of their other tools that they would use.
Let us help you.
Yeah, turning the focus onto them, right? When you
Right.
make
How can we help you?
Exactly. When it's not about them helping you, it sounds much more determined than if you say, hey, could you help me out and host a party this month? For sure. Nice. Okay, we have time for one more, I think. How about Jessica?
I have my hardest thing is dedicating time. I work full time. I have a 2-year-old. It's hard. So I found when I sat down and I'm like, okay, let's do this. I was just like, hey, I'm booking my, February and March parties. What works best for you? And online,
You're fine.
Or a cooking show. And I've had previous direct sales experience before, so I kind of brought some of that back and just instead of hey, do you want to host a party and help me out, I've kind of just put it on the table, here are your options kind of thing.
Okay, very good. What I would bring into that, maybe to further it a little bit, Jessica, is maybe just to highlight why they would want to book. So it's great to let them know what their options are, to put it out there on the table for them and let them decide. But you also have to say why they want to book one with you, right? Because doing a party with you might sound fun, but what do they get in the end? Okay, awesome. All right. I think that's probably good for that portion, Becky.
Alrighty. Are you ready to move on to your virtual training or?
Sure, yep, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we are going to just basically go through the nuts and bolts of what you want, the elements that you want to include in your virtual parties so that you're creating an environment that is a good place for bookings to happen, okay? So we're not going to have a PowerPoint with this. It's going to be a little bit more interactive. That's kind of how I prefer to do my trainings. So we're going to start out with the scary position, right? So who's had a virtual party where it feels like you could literally hear crickets chirping? It's so quiet. right?
All
Okay.
of us.
So let's think about the basics here. So what elements, what factors do you think play into having a good virtual party versus what makes it bad? So what makes it a good virtual party?
Your host actually interacting as well.
Okay, awesome. Shout it out, you guys. You don't have to wait.
Host coaching,
Okay.
that's a big one that I didn't do so much at first,
Someone needs to turn something.
and now I am, and it seems to be working better.
Okay, anybody else? I think you're muted, Leslie.
Making sure your posts are engaging people. And
That's a
not
great
just
one.
telling something about it, which I used to be really bad about that. I would just kind of tell about it, and I wouldn't be like, hey, so what would you do with this? Or what would be your favorite thing to use this with, or something like that. I used to be really bad.
Yep. And it's so easy to do, especially, you know, with the product information that Pampered Chef supplies us for each product. It's easy to just inform and not have something in your wording that prompts them to engage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have anything?
I found that like some of the like engaging posts, like the little games, how many Skittles are in a brownie pan, like they start going back and forth, and I like to interject like, oh, so close, but you might be a little over, might be a little under, and then it just like keeps going and it rolls into like, it gets them even more involved, and if they're looking at that post, they have to scroll through the rest of them too.
Sure. So games, okay.
Interacting with the customers who do make comments on the posts.
That's a big one, yes. When somebody makes a comment, you have to remember that you're not face to face. They don't see you paying attention to what they're saying. So in order to achieve that level of focus in a virtual party, you actually have to get the keyboard out and comment back to them, right? For sure. How about learning something? Like they're taking something of value from your party, right? If they feel like they're gathering some good tips and tricks, that can definitely have a very big bearing on whether or not you get a booking. Okay?
Like an aha, I didn't know that.
Exactly, for sure. Okay,
like
so
putting water in your meat.
Not what?
Putting water in your meat drains the grease away. I didn't know that. When you're
All
cooking
right.
it, that was one of the tips.
Okay, so there are lots of elements that you have no control of in a virtual party. You know, you can host coach until you're blue in the face, but occasionally you're going to have that host that flakes out on you no matter what you try to do, right? There's occasionally going to be a party that has a really engaged host, but you just can't seem to get the guests interacting, right? So what is the one thing that you can always control, no matter who your host is, no matter what your guest list looks like, whatever the case may be? What's the one element that you have control over?
Your
posts.
Your posts.
100% yourself. That's exactly right. Good job. So, you know, you can control some of those things that we just mentioned. Your engaging posts. You can control whether you communicate well with your host. You know, if your host is doing nothing and you're not talking to them, that's one thing. But if your host is doing nothing and you're behind the scenes, you know, talking them through every single step of their party, that's totally different because you know that you're doing your job, right? And then also, you know that you're showing your passion for your job and you're showing your passion for the tools and what you offer, okay? So how do you let your passion shine through? How do you show your passion in a virtual party?
Stories.
Okay, your experience with the products or the recipes, for sure.
Go live.
Go live, that is a big one. Who's afraid to go live? It's okay, that you're in the safety tree.
I do videos. Going live scares me.
Okay, so pre-recorded videos is a great place to start if going live scares you.
Absolutely.
You know, they're still getting a taste of who you are, Robin. They're seeing you instead of home office staff using the products, right? That definitely makes it more personal for sure. Okay, what else? How else can you show your passion?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, talking about the going live, the ones that are scared about it, I used to be really scared of that. I mean, it terrified me. But I've kind of noticed, I honestly like it every once in a while when I do have a mishap with something that I'm doing, because to me, it kind of makes you even more real. That you're not like this perfect little person in the kitchen that does everything right. But if you make these mistakes, people go, oh, yeah, or, you know, something kind of messes up on you. You can show them live, hey, you know, this slipped off here. Let me show you how to put this back together. You know, I mean, things like that do happen. Like I had my quick cooker one time, I was doing a live, doing a spinach artichoke dip with it. And I forgot to make sure my little valve was all the way down and it wasn't bringing it to steam while I was doing something else. And I looked over, I was like, oh, let me show you guys something. So it was like a good thing to be able to show them, you know, hey, we all do make mistakes, but you know, if you weren't getting something from us and you bought it from someone else and you couldn't figure out what was going wrong, who are you going to call? You're able to just call us right away and say, hey, I'm not getting this to work. What do I do?
That's so true, for sure.
So I like my mishaps.
I was going to say that, Becky.
Pampered, not perfect.
That's right. There is a phrase that floats all over Pampered Chef, pampered, not perfect. And we are definitely all far from perfection, right? Yep. Perfect is not attainable, so let's quit trying. I mean, it's always good to be better, you know, to improve ourselves, but perfection, it's just not going to happen, right? Okay, so how about sharing your favorite recipes and being relatable? For sure. You know, if you work a full-time job and you know that some of your guests also work a full-time job and walk in the door at 5:30 and don't know what they're going to be making for their families, right there, you become an expert to the guests that are in that party, because Pampered Chef is arming you with these recipes, these tools, and these tips. They're training you to feed your family. And it's basically your job to share that with the other people who come into your parties who are facing those same situations, right? So if you share with them, they begin to trust you and get to know you, relate to you, and you become so much more than a salesperson to them, right? Because you're giving them valuable information that they can take and use with their own families. Okay, so, excuse me, pubescent boy there for a minute. So how do you allow your customers to get to know you within a party? How are the other ways other than sharing your experience with a recipe? How do you let them get to know you?
I always post a welcome, kind of just letting know who I am, getting like a picture of my kids, just so that they kind of see that I am a mom with kids and not just some lady trying to sell them stuff.
Perfect.
Anybody else? Do a live introduction video every time that I'm getting ready to start a party. Either the first day of or the day before is when I usually do it. And I just jump on and introduce myself, you know, who I am, what I do outside of Pampered Chef, and, you know, how I've joined, what I love about it, and stuff like that.
Very good. Candace, I think you were going to share too. Did you have something?
I share a picture or two of my family, me with my family, and how I got started with Pampered Chef, and the ways that Pampered Chef has helped me.
Is everyone doing at least some type of intro in their virtual parties, whether it be typed or video?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You definitely want to be sharing your story, because that, you know, not only does it help them understand what drove you to become a consultant in the first place, but, you know, like some of the others have said, it also shows them why you enjoy what you're doing. And if you even take it a step further, it can show them why they might want to become a consultant themselves. Okay? So how about sharing your own family's mealtime challenges? So not only your experiences with great recipes, but, you know, what are the challenges that you've faced? Maybe you hate prep, okay? Maybe you really despise chopping veggies. There's probably, I can almost promise you, going to be somebody in your virtual parties that also despises that, okay? So if you are sharing, you know, your favorite prep tool for saving time, whether it be the food chopper, whether it be the quick slice, whatever the case may be, if you're sharing why that's your favorite, because you don't like standing in the kitchen and chopping 50 pounds of carrots, then that's what you share. I don't know anybody who chops 50 pounds of carrots, but you know what I mean. Okay, so how about asking them about their own lives, right? So you do start to say you do the intro where it says share your favorite product, or maybe what your oldest product, Pampered Chef product is. You know how they have those icebreaker posts? So say they share something that they own. How can you respond to those comments? Like say they have had a pizza stone for 28 years. What's going to be your response to that?
Share like another product that can either go with it to complement it, or so they've had that pizza stone for 28 years, maybe show them a newer product like the glazed stone.
So further down in the party, I would say that that is a really good thing to do, Stacy. When you are initially trying to break the ice with somebody, though, I would start with a question.
I would
say,
ask them how dark their stone is.
Yeah, let's see a picture of it. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Show a picture of mine. The darker, the better.
Exactly. Or what's your favorite recipe to make on that stone, right? I can probably promise you that if it's an old stone, they're probably going to say like a taco ring or some other kind of ring because that was all the rage. So, you know, get them talking about what their favorite recipes are. What do you love about that? You know, it's totally okay to even say somebody says that their favorite product is the manual food processor, which I'm not a fan of personally. Ask them, say, you know what, that's one that I just have not found the perfect use for. What do you use it for in your kitchen? It's totally okay to admit that there are products that you personally don't love yet. And sometimes they'll just tell you something that clicks with you and you're like, you know what? That is brilliant. I'm going to use it for that. And what have you done in that interaction with them?
You've let them become the expert.
And you've built a connection with them, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
Great answer, Susan.
In my new one, I actually started a poll at the beginning of, like, before the party had started, just to kind of see how everybody is in their kitchen, like if they work full time and can't get home to cook, or, you know, if they stay at home and that's something that they do often, if they really just hate to cook. So I could kind of get a feel of my guests before I made the party.
That's good. And do you find that you're able to respond well to whatever they say their challenge is?
See, this is the first one that I tried, and I really didn't get too much reaction on it, but I do plan to keep trying it to kind of see how it goes.
Okay, perfect. It's all right that it's a work in progress.
Can I share a tip on polling real quick with you guys?
Go for it.
So instead of actually doing the poll that you create, so to speak, you know how you hit poll and then do the options, how about making a graphic with the polling options built into it? So like A is the manual food processor, B is the food chopper, C is something else, D is something else. And then that way when they comment down below letter A, you know exactly what option that they chose and have a way to strike up a conversation with them underneath the post.
And it isn't just a black hole of answers that you're not prepared to answer.
Right.
That's a really good suggestion, Becky. Okay, so you can obviously see that the more you find out about your customers, the more in common you'll find you have with them. So when they see that you have their best interest in mind, like I mentioned before, they're going to see that you're more than a salesperson and you're a valued problem solver. So here's some more icebreaker questions that you could be asking. And if you guys think of some while I'm listing these off, just go ahead and unmute and pop in with whatever you think of too, okay? So how many do you regularly cook for? Because that's going to greatly determine what kind of products you recommend for them, right? If they're just cooking for one, you're probably not going to suggest to them, you know, the large pizza stone. Maybe the individual stone would be good for them, right? What types of recipes do you usually cook? So are they a stovetop cook? Are they a microwave cook? Are they a grill cook? Okay. How often do you eat out? And in addition to that, is that something you'd like to change? Some people are perfectly happy eating out 5 days a week.
My hips wouldn't be.
No. Okay, here's a good one. Do you have picky eaters? Right? Yes, for sure. What part of making a meal is your least favorite? So that one kind of leads back to my comment about, chopping veggies or, whatever their least part of the process is. Find out what that is and see if it's something that you can help them with. Okay, anybody have any more they'd like to add to that? All right, that's okay. So now that you have interaction mastered, you're now pros, you've successfully built a relationship with your party guests. Guess what? You are now much more likely to get a yes when you ask these guests for bookings. So Becky, would you be able to put up the flow chart?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let me find it because I think that I took it off for a split second there. There it is. Oh my gosh. Look, pampered chef, not perfect chef, and not perfect director either. It's okay. Oh goodness. There we go.
Okay, so if you are on my team, you have probably seen this before. But I created this kind of as a basic roadmap for virtual party full service checkout. Okay, so this can be accomplished through Facebook message or text. We will post it on the Director Bound page so that you can zoom in and see it closer. But basically, it starts out and it thanks people for attending or ordering, whatever fits them. For participating in so-and-so's party. You were such a fun guest. I also wanted to make sure you were able to get all the items on your wish list and see if you had any questions about the products you ordered. Okay, so then you can see by the arrows and the continuous boxes that it walks you through the entire process. Who thinks that this might be helpful, taking the guesswork out of following up with a customer? Now, obviously, this wording can be tweaked a little bit so that it sounds more like you, but it gives you a really good place to start. Okay.
I love this. I'm just telling you.
So say somebody says, no thanks, I don't have any questions. Okay. Say they place their order, before you close the party. You could respond with, okay, so no thanks, I'm good. You're welcome. I'll plan to check in with you after your items arrive. In the meantime, can I interest you in a party of your own? Okay, so say their response is no, not at this time. You could say, that's fine. Would it be okay if I jot your name down in my calendar to check in within a few months, right? And then you can also add them to your newsletter at some point. And so this, like I said, it gives you a really good place to start. It's not, it doesn't cover every single scenario that you'll come into contact with, but it gives you a really good place to start. So hopefully you guys find that helpful.
Love it.
All right, so now let me ask you, how do you follow up with guests who participate in a virtual party but do not place an order? Do you do anything with the ones who comment and interact but don't place an order?
Private message them and ask them if they would like to host a show of their own if they couldn't place an order at this time.
Okay. What if they don't respond or see your message, Susan?
I try to go a different route if I've got them. When I start my shows, I try to get them to friend me so that I can have multiple avenues to communicate with them. Yes.
Okay. So one thing that I would suggest kind of goes back to the suggestion that Becky made during our first Blitz. Okay. So say you have sent a message to the guest and maybe they saw it but didn't reply. So who was shocked at the response that you got, potentially going in a day or two later and saying, hey, just making sure you got my message. And they actually replied.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing with guests who interacted but did not place an order. Okay,
I had one at the end of my last party that had just joined the party, like on the last day.
Yeah.
And I had saw that she had just joined, and I sent her a message and said, I know you didn't get a chance to get the full effect of this party. Would you like to pamper yourself in your kitchen and have a party of your own, and I actually got a booking out of her.
Woohoo! Nice.
So she's on my February calendar.
I'm glad you followed up with her.
Yeah, and that actually kind of shocked me. I went out of my comfort zone to be like, hey, you didn't see everything and you didn't get to interact with this one. Would you like to have one of your own?
What happens when you step out of that comfort zone, Rachel?
I've
Pays
actually
up.
gotten a bit out of my comfort zone lately.
Yes,
Where
I
the
know you
magic
have.
happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. So here's one that I think sometimes we're afraid to do, but are you asking your host which of their friends or guests or, are you asking them, who should we pamper next? Whose kitchen should we pamper next? Who would love to host a party?
I forget that all the time, and I kick myself in the butt so much because I'll remember it at one party and then the next one goes and I'm like, oh shoot, I totally forget. And we're like right at the end of the party trying to close things out. Things are like crazy. And I'm asking them and they'll just be like, oh, I don't know. And it's just kind of, but yeah, that is one thing that I really struggle with remembering. It's not that I don't want to, I have horrible short-term memory, by the way.
So do I. So does probably
if
everybody.
I don't write it down, it don't happen.
Yes.
So
I was just going to say, if you do not already have a host coaching checklist, I would make one and add that as part of your host coaching checklist.
That's a good idea. I don't have a checklist. I just kind of wing it, and that's probably where my downfall is, honestly. So I just kind of like set something each day, like, hey, why don't we do this in your party and do that? And, what do you think about this or that? Or what would be your favorite recipe? Why don't you share it? What's your favorite product? Things like that. But I don't have a checklist, and I need one. So.
And if you're not a paper person, then set reminders on your phone.
That's very true.
I use my phone to remind me for everything.
Paper all the time. I have paper everywhere. I was talking to Christina Bailey the other night, and we were talking about sticky notes. Like, it's everywhere.
You have a sticky note jungle?
We all have our
That is what hers is, I don't think. But I've got sitting around over here. So.
Okay, so I'm going to let Becky take most of the host coaching portion of this, but I just wanted to say, Leslie, once you get a system in place and you work it the same way with your parties, day in and day out, month in and month out, you're going to see where your strengths are with your host coaching, and you're going to see where you need to beef things up. And once you get all of those elements in place, you will be unstoppable. You will have rockin' online parties. Okay. All right. So remember, our goal is to always come away from each party, that includes virtual parties, with at least 2 bookings. So what are you going to do to make sure that this happens? Have you made a promise to yourself that you won't quit until you've gotten that second booking? Are you doing a 2-day follow-up for the people who haven't seen your Facebook message or haven't responded to your Facebook message? Okay. And just like Becky talked about during the first blitz, are you using another means of communication to reach them if you have it? Okay. To make sure that that contact is successful. All right, so how committed are you to making sure your calendar is not just full in January and February, but also 90 days from now, 6 months from now? What you do today, how thorough you are in these parties that you're currently holding, is going to play a huge role in how successful you are down the road. All right, so that sums up the virtual party section.
All right, so let's talk cooking shows. You guys all excited? How many of you guys do cooking shows? Lots of us do? Awesome, awesome. So how many of you guys have a calendar for February or March that you're proud of? Anybody proud of their calendar? Okay, so I have a gift that I really want to give to each and every one of you guys. So I'm going to give you 4 bookings for February and 4 bookings for March. Would you guys all be really excited right now if I just handed you bookings? Okay, so let's really get serious for a second. Because I know for a split second you got really excited and your heart started beating fast. And you were like, oh my God, who is she and how in the world is she going to give me bookings? I'm not that magical, trust me. I'm a magical mom, but that's about as far as it goes. So, we all wish that a magic wand could be waved and those bookings could just pop up on our calendars but then we hit reality again and we know that's not going to happen. You guys have seen in the last couple weeks that with these booking blitzes, that when you really challenge yourself and you hold your feet to the fire, that it's possible to get your calendars where you need them to be, right, in order to grow. So bookings will not just pop up from the thin air, though. We all wish they would. We all wish that our, doorbells would ring and people would knock on the door and saying, hey, oh my gosh, can I have a show with you? But in reality, it's really not going to happen. We have to be the ones that are willing to work for them. So I'm going to walk you guys through what I would say is my top 5 ways that I keep my calendar full and I never go out of business. Okay. So kind of like Megan said earlier, booking 2 shows from every single show, no matter what. That's the motto I want you guys to live by. Any kind of show. Book 2 shows from every show, no matter what. Okay. So drill that into your head, put it on a sticky note, write it on your mirror, whatever you have to do, just do it. Because you don't get anywhere when we allow ourselves to make excuses, right? You guys all agree? When we make excuses, we make no money. So bookings really all start with very good host coaching. So I know you guys have probably heard your leaders say the leader sets the pace. Well, the same can be said for your cooking shows. The consultant sets the pace. What do I mean by that? You, my friends, are in control, right? Not me. Not your director, not your husband, not your children. You are in control of the amount of time and energy that you put into host coaching. This is the most important income producing activity. I mean, the most. Like, there's no other activity in our business that is more important than host coaching. So you control that. So what is not income producing? Let's see, scrolling through Facebook, playing games on your phone, creating tons of images, all of those things where we love to do them is not the best use of our time. So I challenge each one of you guys to take that time you normally spend scrolling on Facebook, playing games, or doing random whatever things on your phones, and use that time to host coach your hosts, okay? Those games are not going to make you money. Host coaching will. So believe it or not, most of our hosts, whether in a virtual setting or a cooking show setting, do not know how to have a great party. Would you guys all agree? We are the coach. They are our team. It is our job to instruct them and teach them how to have a great party. That is our job. That's why we make the big bucks, right? We all make big bucks, right? Every one of us. Yeah. We're dreaming big here. Okay. We're dreaming big. So believe it or not, they don't know what they're doing though. Some people like to go into it and think that they know how to have a successful party. Has anyone here, I'll give you the prime example. How many of you guys have ever hosted a party with another direct sale company? Okay. And because that person knew that you were a direct seller, did they coach you when you had that party? And how did that party turn out? Did you get great results? No? I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, when I have parties for other direct sale companies, I am a terrible hostess. I am terrible. Like all the things that I know I should do, I don't do. And so if I had a consultant on the other end that was walking me through the same process that I'm used to walking my hosts through, I would have been a great host, but I didn't have that same experience. We assume that people know how to have a great party, but in reality, they don't know what it really takes. We are the experts. And after all, this is the business that we've chosen to get into, right? We've all made the conscious decision. We wanted to work for Pampered Chef and sell kitchen tools. And so we have to choose to do our jobs. They trust that we are going to walk them through everything that they need to do. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, we're supposed to be talking about bookings. How does host coaching fit in? So let's talk about that for a second. So how many of you guys have ever done a cooking show and you walked into the room and you had 2 people there or none? Anybody ever had a show like that? Yeah, we've all experienced it. And at that moment, it's when you really, instead of pouting or getting upset, we need to do some self-reflection and evaluation, okay? That's that moment where I ask you guys to challenge yourself. Did you give 100% to host coaching that host? If you walk into a party and there's only 2 people, the odds of you booking that 2 shows no matter what, the chances drop right there, right? Exactly. Christina's like, thumbs down. Yeah. So if this is happening, then it's time to really give yourself some tough love and really evaluate what system you're using for host coaching and how you can change it to get better results. Or better yet, evaluate what you didn't do, because we all know in reality that we either didn't send that message, we didn't call that host, we didn't get their host packet in time, we didn't do their invitations. There's some piece of missing along the way that we did not do. Now, I know you guys have probably heard it 1,000 times, but you make all of your money in host coaching, okay? Every single dollar, every single dime is made in host coaching, and you pick up your paycheck at the show. Does that make sense? So if we've done a fabulous job host coaching and we walk into our house and there's 15 people there waiting to have your undivided attention, ching, 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 there's your paycheck right there. And all that work and time and energy has now come to fruition. So the time and energy you put into creating an experience, I want you guys to write that word down, both in a virtual setting and a cooking show. Experience is what it's all about, okay? It's not a party. It's not a show. We're giving them an experience, meaning that a room full of people, if you're going to walk in there and you're going to give them an experience, that will directly contribute to the amount of bookings that you're going to get. Giving your customers an experience will also give you 3 things. Number 1, it gives you sales. Number 2, it gives you recruits. And number 3, it gives you bookings. And that's only by host coaching and getting that full crowd of people will you get all 3 of those results every single time you have a party. Everything that we do in this business is a numbers game. Everything, okay? From our host coaching to our recruiting to when you start growing your team and you become a director, everything is about numbers. So if you have low attendance at your show, then most likely you're going to also have low bookings, because, you guys ready to write this down? Host coaching equals people, and people equals bookings. If you follow that simple formula, host coaching equals people, and people equal bookings. If you remember that, you will always have bookings. You will always have bodies, and you will always have shows on your calendar. So let me ask you, I'm going to stop right here. I want you guys to tell me, what is the number 1 reason people cancel shows? Why do your hosts cancel shows?
Nobody comes.
Nobody wants to come.
Right. And so our hosts, when they feel like they're going to have low attendance, naturally the first thing that they do is want to bail, right? First thing that they want to do. And I'll tell you, though, that sometimes your hosts are going to tell you that nobody's coming and it's for a different reason. It's really not because they don't have people coming, but it's really because you have not built that relationship with that host. Okay? So our hosts are expecting low attendance. They don't, want to have the extra expense of buying ingredients, but more so, our hosts tend, if you've built a relationship with your host, they're not going to want to let you down, okay? If you've not built that connection, it's much easier for me to say, hey, Megan, I'm not going to be able to do my party with you this evening because nobody's coming, if we've not connected. But if me and Megan have formed a relationship and a connection, it's much harder for Megan to message me and say, I'm not going to have a party tonight because no one's coming. If you have a relationship and you have a connection, that host is going to work for you 500 times harder than what she would if you did not have that connection with her. So just like with virtual parties and Megan saying about getting to know your guests, you have to get to know your host, okay? I want you guys to remember always that your host is also not just your host, but they're also your number 1 recruit lead in this business. They're letting you come into their homes. So you guys will see in a couple weeks when we get into recruiting how host coaching also will equal recruits. So remember, we're in a relationship business. We're not just in a sales business. This business is all about relationships. And if you haven't connected with them to the point where you have a relationship, then they will have no personal remorse for canceling their show. If you have established a relationship, then they will stay committed to their show, but more so to you forever. We are all busy. How many of you guys are busy? Anybody busy? Everybody's busy, right? We all have a life as consultants. Every single one of us do. But never let that be your excuse to not give 100% to every host, okay? They're counting on you guys. Believe it or not, every one of those hosts that have scheduled a date for you to come into their home, think about that. They're letting a stranger, somebody they only know through talking casually on the phone, met at a show maybe once or twice, they're letting you in their home. That's a personal commitment on their part. So you need to make a personal commitment on your part to do your job. So I want you guys to think about this. I'm a former retail manager. I was in the retail world for eons and eons. If you were a big box store, as a manager, every day I had to go in and I had to turn the key to open the doors, right? Flip on the lights in order to open my store up. So the same can be said as us as consultants. Every single day, we need to step into our store. We need to turn our key and we need to flip on the lights to our business every single day, no matter what. Because our business, where it is flexible, we have flexible business hours. Those hours are not optional if you want to have a strong, healthy, consistent business. So I want you to consider how important host coaching really is and let that be your number one income producing task every single day, every single day. So once you've built that relationship with your host becomes that secret weapon. Okay. She's like my little secret weapon that's in my, my pocket of my apron. If you've done a really good job host coaching, not only are you going to have a rocking show, but you're also going to have her in your pocket to use if you need her. You need to communicate to your host that your goal as a consultant is always to find new business. You would love for her to help you get at least 2 to 3 bookings from her show. Now, why would I put such a commitment or such a burden on my hosts? Remember, it's going to benefit them also. Most hosts, would you guys all agree, when they do their host order, they don't always get everything on their wish list. Some people can afford it, some people can't. But for the most part, I would say, there's a good portion of our hosts that don't get everything on their wish list. And so by them getting those bookings, you're guaranteeing that they're also going to have future discounts other than that 10%. So something I like to do with every single one of my shows is I like to ask my host ahead of time, who will be the 3 people coming that would book shows? So if you're a person that uses name tags, and if you're not, I recommend that you use name tags at your shows. When you're getting there and you're setting up, what I like to do is I like to have my host write the name tags out. And those 3 people that she thinks are going to book shows, put a little star on their name tag for me, okay? So those little stars are going to be my little secret weapon, okay? Because I'm going to know who she thinks is going to be that person that's going to book the show with me. So I try to make it fun. At the end of the show, I'll say something like, so each of you were given a name tag earlier when you came in, and our host put a star on 3 of your names. Now, of course, any of you guys can book a show with me, right? But if you're one of the ones that the host put the star on, I have a little gift if you book your show. How exciting and fun is that? Because they're like stripping their clothes off to see if they have the little star or not. Now, let's say you, for some reason, don't get the bookings that you really want at your show. Let's face it, it's going to happen. No matter how hard you've worked, no matter how good the experience is, no matter how hard you've host coached, sometimes you're just going to have 1 booking, or maybe not. I strive for 3 because I'm an overachiever. So, maybe I've only gotten 2 and I really wanted that 3rd booking. I want you to remember this. This means it's go time, right? This means 2 bookings on your calendar, no matter what. You're not going to give up at that point. Just because the show's over doesn't mean the show's over yet, right? We have lots of different ways that we can go back and get bookings from our hosts. So again, I go back to the host and I say, we really need to try to get an extra booking from your show. And again, I remind her of the future party pick and how that, works into her host rewards. And most of the time, guys, I'll tell you, I don't close parties without at least 2 bookings. You need one party or you need to book one party to replace the party you just had and one to always grow with. So that's why it's really important to always book 2 shows. How many of you guys like to pick up the phone? Every one of us, right? Said no one ever. No, but none of you just said me. Pick me. No. So it's really important then to book shows at your shows. So when you have a show, make it a fun show. Make it that, what's that word I used earlier? An experience, right? We need to have an experience, not just a show. So you need to make it impactful. You need to make it fun. The experience of the party and the way you make people feel is why they order. But more so, the reason why they're going to host a show with you. If you are never able to break down that wall with people, they're not going to book a show. And so just like Megan was saying earlier about getting to know your people in a virtual setting, it's also very important to get to know them in a cooking show setting. Finding out how many kids do you have? What's your kid's favorite food? What's your grocery budget like? Do you meal plan? Asking all those questions is really important because it lets you gauge them in a whole different way, right? It lets me almost cater my parties to that crowd. And that's really important. When you know your audience, you know exactly what kind of tools you can offer and what kind of experience you can offer on top of it. So how many of you have ever heard your leader say we are in a people business? Anyone ever heard that? So it's true. I want you guys to think of every person not. You guys heard me, right? Not as a $, but as a connection. So if you guys paid close attention in the group this week, me and Megan were pretty strategic with what we were doing in there. Talking about connections and talking about engagement and really our word choices because words matter, okay? We never want to make somebody on the other end of our keyboard or in our faces at a cooking show feel like they're a $. That person, if they feel like they're just a $, is not going to book a show with you, okay? That's why engagement is huge. Offering an experience is huge. Offering solutions is huge. Not just offering a product. Offer them what that product is going to do, how it's going to change the way they cook. Connections are important because they lead to relationships. And remember, we're in a relationship business. Relationships lead to lifelong business. Guys, I have hosts literally on my calendar year after year. They have reserved dates on my calendar year after year. And I'm sure these other leaders, they probably have the same thing because relationships are really what drive our business. So why do people book shows? Does anybody know? Why do people book shows?
To have fun. Get new products.
For the stuff.
Yeah, for the stuff, for the products, you think?
To get together with friends.
So what is the #1 item that you should sell at every single show? Oh, this is a good question. Good question. Do I have you guys stop?
Party?
Huh?
Another party, a booking?
Ah.
I don't know.
Yourself.
You have to sell yourself first. You are the #1 product that you have to sell first. Before you get any sale, before you get a host, before you get a booking, you have to sell you first. Your show opening is extremely important and will help you with that, okay? It needs to be a 2-minute commercial on selling you. What makes you special? What sets you apart from people? Why do people want you in their home? What has your experience been like? How has Pampered Chef changed your life? People want to know this. People want to hear this. I'm telling you, if you get to know me, I am a sap. I will cry at the drop of a hat. That's the person I am. And there's probably not one cooking show that I can think of that when I tell my story, I don't have a tear streaming down my face. Jackie and Mike can attest. They were hosts of mine. That's the kind of why you need to have. You need to be able to inspire people in that 2 minutes to either let you in their home or join your team. That's your commercial. So I want you to remember, having fun and being yourself is really important. You are nobody but yourself. Don't try to be Christina Bailey. Don't try to be Megan Weatherby. Don't try to be Becky Wolfinger. Try to be yourself. People can see through fakeness. People are very good judges of character, and they can read you like a chapter in a story. Be yourself. Don't be afraid of who you are, ever. Okay? We are all created uniquely beautiful in our own special ways, every single one of us. And so you need to be nobody but you, and let that shine through at every party that you do. Create an experience, not just a party. You want people to leave there like, oh my gosh, I have never been to a Pampered Chef party like that. That's what you want people to be left with. Full service checkout. Oh my gosh, Megan in her virtual full service checkout. Hello, how you doing? Amazing. Full service checkout is so important. I know we're running over. I'm so sorry because I'm long-winded, but this stuff is really important. I'm just saying. Full service checkout is so important, guys. I want you to think about it this way. If you were that one person in the line, you guys know what I'm talking about. You have everybody waiting to check out, and you're that person that, you know, Christina got asked and Megan got asked, and now it's your turn, and that consultant doesn't ask you to host a show or join your team. How are you going to feel about this big, right? What's wrong with me? What did I do? Never, ever, ever judge anyone or make a decision for anyone else, whether this business or hosting a show will work for their lives or not. You ask every single person, no matter what, because you don't want to be that person that doesn't ask people. Sell the benefits of products, not just the features. I think that this right here is definitely one of the most important things that you can learn and take away, is that we need to sell, how is that product going to change that mom or that dad's life in the kitchen? How is it going to put food on the table, you know, instead of an hour later in 20 minutes? How are you going to prevent them from going through a drive-through line and wasting money that they don't really have to waste? Sell the benefits. Benefits are, you know, a feature is that it's dishwasher safe, it's 350 degrees in the oven, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares about that stuff. They want to know how it's going to benefit them. You know, if the quick cooker could get up and dance, I would sell that benefit. Okay. That would be my benefit. Always plan your recipes around the specials. Okay. So does everybody know what the special for February is? Do you know what the special for March is? If you don't know, I challenge you right after this, go look and see what they are. And those are the tools that you need to be using in your VIP groups, on your personal wall, wherever you do your business on Facebook, and at every single show that you're doing, everything should be focused around those. And for the reason that, how many of you guys can afford to buy a rock crock out of pocket? Most people can't, right? Some of us can. Some of us will see the true benefit and the reason why we need to have it in there. But let's be realistic. A lot of people, if you said, hey, Leslie, I can give you a rock crock for 60% off, right? They would choose that route versus choosing the $130 route. So that's why it's important at your shows to always plan your recipes around the specials that are coming up. If you're trying to book February, use the deep covered baker. If you're trying to book March, use the rock crocks at your shows right now. Whatever month that you're trying to fill within the next 90 days is the tools that you need to be using at your shows right now. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Not every recipe is a show recipe, right? Would everyone agree? Okay. Just because we love brownies doesn't mean we're going to build a whole show around brownie pan. Yeah, Christina, right? No, not going to happen. We want to show off the power tools. Do not ever, ever, ever say, well, I know my customers can't afford a rock crock, so I'm not going to use a rock crock at the show. Or the quick cooker is $240 and nobody can afford that. Guys, I have sold 62 quick cookers since September. 62. 62. 19 of them at full price at shows. The rest of them have been people that have hosted shows with me. So do not think that people will not book a show or buy that quick cooker. Okay, I'm here to tell you that they will if you sell the benefits of that product. Keep your show simple, short, and benefit oriented. Okay? And I'm going to post all my notes because there's more. I could talk for another 25 minutes about cooking shows and bookings, but, you know, ain't nobody got time for that. But hopefully you guys have taken away some nugget of information, both from virtual shows and cooking shows this evening. I'm going to cover homework real quick, and then we'll have time for questions, or you guys, if you need to hop off, you can after I share the homework, okay? Let me pull it up real quick as I sing to you. I might scare you off with just my singing. There we go. Okay, so homework this week. Fill out your contact tracker. Some of this is the same as every week. Fill out your contact tracker with 15 new contacts in the next 4 days. Take a picture of it and send it to your director with your results. Schedule your call with your director before our next call. The real part of the homework is the next 3. So listen to the audio, make it about marketing. This will all be posted, guys. Don't feel like you have to write it all down. It'll all be posted for you. Make It About Marketing as an audio. It was from National Conference last year. Great information about marketing yourself. You're going to complete the training, social media training on Consultants Corner. Some of you may have already done it. Some of you may have not done it. If you have not done it, it is absolutely an eye-opening experience to learn some of this stuff about marketing yourself on Facebook and using social media. Within that training, there is a social media planning calendar, okay, that helps you plan your content for your VIP group or on your personal wall. We want you to print that off when you're doing that training session. And then you're going to plan a week's worth of content. This is why me and Megan have been helping you guys with creating those posts. You guys have been doing a wonderful job with changing your wording and with really understanding what we've been trying to teach you. So we want to see what a week's worth of your content is going to look like. Okay, so you're going to complete the little social media planning calendar, and you're going to take a picture of that and post that in the Director Bound group. Okay, there will be a homework Google Doc for you guys to fill out once it's all completed. Remember, do not wait until the last minute to do your homework, because we know what happens. The electric goes out, the internet crashes, you know, the dog runs away, the children get sick, 20 inches of snow falls, whatever. You know, just make sure you get your homework done and get that out of the way. So anybody else have any questions? Sorry we ran over, guys. Hopefully it was worth the extra 8 minutes.
Absolutely.
No questions?
We must have just been that thorough.
Woo! Their heads are ready to explode. With good information.
Rock stars.
All right, Christina, do you have anything you want to add at all on bookings?
I don't have anything to add. You guys were amazing and awesome. The only one story that I would add is that kind of going back to the virtuals and interactive posts and participation. And so I've always kind of tried to mix up my interactive posts to get the participation and offered tickets. And some always worked really well and some didn't, and I tried to mix it between home office and other ones. And I had been invited to a virtual party for a Martha and Mary around Christmas, and it's a direct sales, and someone added me to the group, and I didn't say I was in it, and I was still kind of getting notifications, and I wish I could say that I was doing it purely for informational purposes, but I really just kind of was busy and was ignoring it. But I kept kind of getting it like so-and-so posted. a picture, so-and-so posted, and I couldn't really see what it was, and I didn't click on it. And finally, I saw that it had posted, and I kind of like scrolled past it, and it was an interactive game that she had posted, and she said, post your favorite picture of your family. Like, let's brag about our families. And I stopped, and I was like, well, I have really cute kids, and they all really want to see my kids, so I should bless them with a picture. Hold on, let me get the good one. That's kind of what I was thinking. And you're like, I've seen her kids, they're not that cute. No. So I was like, and she interact. She's like, oh my God, your kids are so beautiful. I'm like, I know, I made them myself. And so because of that interaction, then I kind of was like seeing some more posts and things like that. But then after I did that, I was like, wait a minute. I was kind of dead set against being in this party and posting. Why did a cynical other direct salesperson like go that far? And it really was because people like to brag about themselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? So with my January virtuals, they were healthy themed, and so I did do a before people were added, there was a poll, but it was a very quick poll, and I selected that they could not add extra answers. Always, that's an option if you don't know, that they couldn't pick more than one, and they could not add their own answers. And it was simply, the hardest part about eating healthy is, and the choices were the taste, the cost, or the time. So that I could see, and they could only choose one, what the biggest ones were, so I could focus on that because I didn't have a timeline yet. And then the first engagement post, that's what I was going to say. The first engagement post was post your favorite picture from 2018, because it was the start of the year, and I had posted that on my business page anyway.
Love it.
And so that got a lot of traction. And then the other one that's kind of tried and true that I found is the one that says, let's see if we can get through the alphabet. I'll start from A to Z with a food. I'll start artichoke.
Yep.
And one of my groups got to Z in 22 minutes. It was like 5 people going back and forth, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys think you can get through Z again? And they're like, let's try. And they went again. And so like on all the parties, those ones had really good engagement. So that one I try to use all the time because people really get creative with their foods. Hey, V is vodka. It's potatoes, and things like that. But the focusing on them and humanizing yourself and interacting with them and connecting with them on a personal level, like, oh my gosh, where was this picture taken? Oh, is that your grandbaby? Well, maybe not. They're like, no, it's mine. What do I look like? No. Be sensible. But, oh, who's this? What an adorable baby, or was this a family trip? Because it's a variety, and it gives you a kind of a window. And so right now that's your favorite picture from 2018, but I plan on still integrating that because people do want to share about themselves, what they're proud of, their family, or a trip they've taken, or whatever their favorite picture is of something they accomplished. And so that was the only thing that I would like to contribute.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you can personalize it, whether it's a virtual show or a cooking show, that's a win, guys. It is an absolute win. Let them know you. Let them get to know you. And don't be afraid to get to know them. Don't fake it, though. Do not fake it. People will read you like a book. I'm telling you, they can read it when you're like, oh, what recipe do you like? 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 And you ask that on every single person going down a post. They're like, oh my God, who is she? Okay, leave group.
Robot.
Yes. Nobody wants a robot. Nobody wants a robot. You guys think I'm loud and obnoxious doing a training? You should see me at my cooking shows. I'm just saying. Yeah. Be real. Be real, Becky. It'll scare you, but not other people.
And that's what is so important too about going live or doing your videos and your virtuals too, because I'm mainly a cooking show person. And so my sense of humor doesn't always translate into text. So that was the big barrier with me and virtuals, is let your personality shine through, be you, and let them see you, because that is what is different, obviously, between the two formats.
Don't just let them, when they see my name, the first thing that I want them to think about is not Pampered Chef. I want them to think Becky, Wolfpack, family, loves food, crazy obnoxious, and then Pampered Chef somewhere down the line.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I don't want them to think Becky, Pampered Chef. I want them to know Becky as the person, right? The face behind the apron. This is unfortunately what they have to look at. This is what they get. So, I'm just saying. Yes, I'm like this all the time. All the time. Look, Christina's like, yes, she is.
Yes, she is. What you see is what you get.
Yep, it is. Look, Brandy, my people will agree. This is who I am. So, Tiffany, I don't know if you're there, Jedi Master, or if you're just.
Yeah, I'm here.
She's there. Do you have anything you want to add? Because we have people hanging out. So
yes, I did want to add that you don't want to forget your out and about booking contacts. Not all your bookings come from virtual or cooking shows. They come from other places. They may be coming from you wearing logo wear out and about. They may be coming because you struck up a conversation at the doctor's office. They may come because it comes from sitting on the soccer field or the basketball court and a parent asks you maybe, what do you do? So that is always a question that seems to come up, and you don't have to throw up all over them, Pampered Chef, but it's nice to have your little 30-second commercial that you can say, oh, I help people get quick meals on their tables in minutes. And then they can ask you to explain from there. So you're always coming in contact with people. And if you are the type of person who's very introverted, make yourself go out and about. Like, try a different branch of the bank you use, or a different grocery store than you normally use. Some people like to I still have my apron on when I leave shows, and sometimes I don't usually put it on until I get to a show, but I usually have logo wear on to a show. And so if I stop at the grocery store, be prepared to have that mini to hand out, and also be able to get their information back. That's, I know personally where I fall short is I'm quick to hand a mini. I don't carry business cards, but I always have mini catalogs, but I'm not always great about getting their information. So that's always something, we're always growing too as leaders.
Absolutely.
To follow up back with them, because you never know who will be a booking. I randomly this week got a call from a friend who needed their kid taken to the doctors. And so yesterday afternoon, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take your kid to the doctors. And so as we were leaving the doctor's office, I said, well, girls, here's my mini catalog. Thanks so much for helping me today. They're like, oh, I noticed your shirt. I love it when they say, do you sell Pampered Chef?
No, I just wear logo wear.
No, I just wear the t-shirt for the heck of it. Yes. Oh, and here's a mini catalog. Let me just leave this with you, and we'll be back in a week because we have to come back anyway. We'll be back, and maybe I'll bring you some goodies.
Absolutely. Out and about contacts, you got to be ready for them, though, guys. If you're going to wear the logo wear, make sure you're ready to do the business. That's all I can tell you.
Back it up.
Because the last thing that you want to have happen is someone say, "Oh my gosh, you do Pampered Chef," and then you're like, "Yeah, I sell Pampered Chef. Can I have a catalog?" "Oh, I don't have any." Or, "Oh, I don't have a business card." Or, "Oh my God, I suck at life." Because you need to be ready, right? You have to be ready. If you're going to wear the logo, then your business is open, your key is in the door, and your lights are on. Be ready for it.
I've even gone as far as taking a piece of paper that says "Enter to Win," put it in a sleeve protector. I have a windshield wiper on the back of my car because I have an SUV. Stuck the piece of paper in the windshield wiper with a Pampered Chef bag and put catalogs in the bag. Or it doesn't say "Enter to Win," it says "Take one." Like that, like free take one or something.
That's why she's the Jedi Master.
And I just leave them in there, like when you go into the grocery store. And because I do have my logo on the back, they know what they're getting into, and they dip their hand in the bag. It's not like it's like a bag of bugs or something. But that's also a way to get rid of old catalogs.
Definitely.
And so even ones that are just one season old, I usually still keep, I don't toss those right away. I definitely keep one season past, so that I can leave them on my car. I have been known to leave them on the windshields, leaving water park or an amusement park, and just leave them there. People leave stuff on my car at the shopping centers. Why not?
Oh my gosh. All right. Any other questions, you guys?
No, I just have something to add to that. We in my prior business, we were always told to like make sure to have a pen and paper, like a small notepad, a pen, or whatever. So if you're wearing your logo, I'm like, oh my God, do you sell Pampered Chef? You're like, yeah, let me get your name and number. Some of y'all always take something out of your hand.
Yeah.
Instead of like, so then they have to write your name and then give them the catalog.
Yeah. Yep. A good tip. Something I do is I have sticky notes on every one of my catalogs. So then I can just have them write their information on the sticky note, and then I can take the sticky note and they can take the catalog.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? Are your brains ready to explode? Yeah? You guys get some good information tonight? Yay! All right. Well, you guys know the drill. Homework will be posted. It is due Monday night by midnight. Don't forget homework, and then set your alarms for next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat place. So, all right, you guys, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're so welcome.
Good night, everyone.